Train for strength, not for size. Let capability and consistency, not the scale, define your progress. Hey there, I'm Ashley, mom of 4 and creator of Reps and Redemption. Join me as I share my passion for health education, explore all things fitness and nutrition, plus share a little faith-filled homemaking along the way. If you're a mom ready to build strength and live a life of epic redemption, this podcast is for you. Let's get after it. Welcome back to Reps and Redemption. I am your host, Ashley Harvey, and today's episode is all about becoming stronger, not smaller, reframing our fitness goals for us moms. And what I want to talk about today is just that. I'm going to share a personal experience and kind of a common struggle that I've had over my fitness journey. I don't know about you, but I know myself and people that I love included really tend to focus more so on the scale instead of getting stronger, instead of putting on muscle. And if I can just tell you that this is not the worst thing you could do. However, the thing with the scale is that it's just one tool in the toolbox of many tools. It's something to kind of gauge and assess, but really not focus on. As women of faith, we want to be a good example, not only for our children and those in our household, but for others that we come into contact with on a daily basis and connect with on a daily basis. And I think that sometimes culture or certain circles, maybe they don't teach us to shrink, but because of that circle or because of the influence, whether we realize it or not, we think that we need to diet, take up less space, and not really think about getting stronger, more resilient, and creating confidence within ourselves. And then there's also like a duality there of confidence versus pride. So I want to talk about why the diet culture is misleading many moms, and then the benefits of strength-focused training. Also, how faith and fitness and motherhood all improve when we focus on capability instead of shrinking our bodies, quote unquote. So here we go. My second point is dismantling the diet culture. So diet culture, I'm just going to put this in my own words. I do have notes and bullet points that I want to talk about, but I think I literally just said this to my mom. I think diet culture is misleading women. I think they're selling a brand, a product, a regime, if you will, to show that they need to take this thing or do this thing their way in order to, quote, lose weight. And then the woman thinks, well, if I'm 160 pounds or I'm 150 pounds, I'll be happier, I'll feel more confident. And I think that is the lie. I think that's the being misled, because the belief that thinness equals health and worth is also just a complete attack from mentally and physically, and for us moms and women. And we also want to be aware of this if we're raising daughters. There's a lot of pressure on moms to, quote, bounce back after having kids, and the marketing industry profits off of women's insecurities. You know, pushing those restrictive diets I just mentioned, endless cardio, unrealistic beauty standards. There's so many things there. And shrinking is definitely the wrong goal. So when I say shrinking, I'm talking about just this constant desire and need to lose weight. It doesn't automatically mean you're stronger, healthier, or happier. You are just kind of focused on a number. And I want us to shift our mindset to, what if instead of asking, how can I be smaller or lose weight, we ask, how can I be stronger and more capable? So there's this time that I fell into this trap of chasing a number on the scale. And I wanted to share this with you because for years and years, I've definitely shared with my family, my friends, my daughters, that the scale isn't everything. It is only a tool. And I will tell you that I have experimented and quote, biohacked my own body because of the athletic goals and performances that I want to achieve. It's my own personal goal that I see for myself, putting on muscle, being in athletic stance and training like an athlete. So I'll just give you a recent experience. I wanted to compete in my first few jiu-jitsu tournaments in, I believe it was featherweight. It might have been lightweight. I'm not sure. It was one of the lighter weight divisions. And I teeter anywhere between 125 pounds and 135 pounds. It just kind of depends what I'm doing. I really weigh myself once a week. It's not even a huge deal for me, but I wanted to see if I could stick to the lighter weight division. And in doing so, I had to cut pretty quickly, 6 or 7 pounds pretty quickly and drastically. And this is just an example of what can happen. I was trying to chase a number. Obviously, you weigh in. If you don't weigh in at that number, you can be disqualified. So there was that pressure as well. But I'm just sharing this to you. So it kind of makes sense where I don't believe the scale is going to give you the ultimate truth about health. And here's why. I lost the weight I needed to. I can actually do it quite easily. Yes, it does take effort, but I do know a few hacks, I guess, if you will, to get it done quickly for said weigh-in. And when I went to perform, quote unquote, that competition day was so tough. At that point, I think I weighed in at 123 pounds. I was exhausted. I did not fuel my body properly. I did not hydrate properly. I was so focused on the cut. Now, this just happened 8 months ago. And I'm just sharing this experience because if I would have just maintained where I was at, especially with lifting and wanting to put on a certain amount of muscle and not lose that muscle, I would have felt way better. And I might have looked a little bit leaner, but the truth is I wanted to pass out after my first match. So having this mindset shift to, I just want to be strong enough to do life well. That's kind of where I want us to go. And instead of asking, how can I be smaller? How can I be stronger and more capable? I think that is going to set us up for true success. The next point I want to make is what moms should focus on instead, meaning strength, functionality, and longevity. I talked about this in the last episode 141. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go for it. It's about strength versus finesse. A strength over size. So let's go there. Muscle is your metabolism's best friend. So strength training will help us burn fat while we build confidence and perform daily tasks with ease. A real life application, for example, is carrying our kids. I've talked about lifting groceries on the show so many times, doing housework. It's all easier when we are stronger. So deadlifts and squats, for example, are mom moves. We are mimicking picking up a toddler, moving furniture. And if we can just shift our mindset to what I just said about, I want to lose weight, instead of saying that, we say, I want to be strong enough to do life well. I do want to preface that there's functionality here, training for real life. We need to train like athletes. Motherhood is physically demanding. Running after our kids, endurance, lifting and carrying, strength, being on the floor, mobility. Here's a workout tip. If we focus on full body, functional movements over calorie burning cardio, side note, I love cardio, but I'm saying this in the vein of doing all that cardio to lose weight. Here's some examples of those mom moves that I was just talking about. Squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, carries. Here's a practical challenge for you. Find one mom move you struggle with and train for it. For example, I am trying to hit 10 pull-ups and I am still stuck at 6, but I will not give up and I'm going to train those every single week. The next point I want to make, instead of moms focusing on losing weight and what they should focus on instead, is longevity. I've talked a lot about this on the show. This is long-term health benefits of strength training. And when we as women build muscle, it helps us protect against aging. situations like osteoporosis, joint pain, our metabolic rate slows down, and we lose muscle as we age. So if we don't intentionally strength train, we will become weaker. When we train for the future, instead of chasing quick fixes like, will this make me stronger at 50, 60, 70? Will I be able to play with my grandkids or move pain-free and stay active long term? These are good questions to ask instead of going after those quick fix diet culture little, I guess you could say, squirrel moments that tend to distract us if we don't keep our eye on the prize. So a biblical tie-in to this is like strength and dignity. Proverbs 31:25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come." God designed us to be strong in body, mind, and spirit, not weak or fragile or obsessed with how much we weigh or shrinking. Strength and dignity go hand in hand, and it helps us build strength and gives us confidence, resilience, and energy to serve our families well. I did talk about in the last episode strength versus finesse, and the type of strength I'm talking about here is honestly just going toward and looking forward toward the future and training with purpose. And that's kind of what I touched on in the last episode, when to use strength and where to use finesse and where the two actually benefit us in both scenarios, right? So this is kind of a different topic. This is talking about, what I'm talking about here is just the weight loss culture, the needing to lose weight and the scale and the obsession with that. You know, in this point that I wanted to make, this biblical tie-in, Jesus didn't call us to be small. He called us to be strong and courageous. So strength training isn't just about physical power. It is about discipline, perseverance, and stewardship of our bodies. So if we shift from body shame to body stewardship, or weight shame to, if we're going to change our mind with this, we also have to change our habits. So it's not quite, I don't want to say the word is fair. I'm not sure what the word is. But if we know that we're not where we want to be, let's say we do realize we have fat to lose, we use the scale as a tool to help us get to where we want to go. But ultimately, we focus on moving more, lifting a little bit heavier, eating clean, eating healthier, not eating a bunch of garbage. And we take those steps, those things in obedience to honor our bodies. And number 5, practical application. So here do we go to start training for strength? How do we start? Step 1, you're going to want to reframe your goals. So again, instead of saying, I just want to lose 10 pounds, or, you know, I want to lose whatever, fill in the blank when it comes to weight and the scale, choose something else. I just want to do 10 push-ups. For me, I just want to do 10 pull-ups. Or I want to carry my toddler without back pain. Or how about I want to feel energized throughout the day. Step 2, we're going to focus on progressive overload. Lift heavier over time and stop being afraid of those weights. The ones that you're like, yeah, but I don't want to get bulky. Yeah, I don't. That's not going to happen. You're going to get stronger and leaner. Muscle is built through resistance and recovery, not starvation. So that means step 3, we need to eat to fuel, not shrink. We need to ditch extreme dieting, extreme programs, and focus on getting our protein, our whole foods. And for me personally, I like to watch my fat intake a little bit and really focus on healthy fats like avocados, nuts, olive oil. You get the picture. Eating enough equals more strength, energy, and hormonal balance. So keep that in mind. I want to give you some final encouragement to just say you were made for more than shrinking, worrying about what the scale says. And I want you to embrace strength in a different way, embrace fitness in a new way, and aim for being stronger, more resilient, and confident in your body. Your challenge for the week is identify one way you've bought into diet culture and swap it for a strength-focused mindset. If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? Remember, this podcast offers health education tips and holistic insights. Please consult healthcare professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, Mama, be bold and live well.